Hello, welcome to another one of our videos, and today I'm going to look at some movements by some older adults in our Stronger for Longer class. And the reason that prompted this is I had a few comments from people saying we only show videos of young athletic people doing exercises for older adults instead of the older adults themselves. Well, here's a video showing you some of these older adults. So this first one gives you a good example of the various abilities of people of the same age and how different they move. And if you're watching this video closely, the person who's moving the best is actually the oldest person, so which is Laurie here in the dark blue shirt. Right, and you'll see his lunge, full range lunge at the bottom there. So he's got like a great range through here, and he can maintain quite good stability and that and balance throughout. So he's demonstrating great strength and great control. Where, say, John, compared next to him, you can see here he has a very limited range. He's holding a dumbbell, fair enough, but he has a very shortened off stance as well. So where Laurie takes a much bigger step, so he gets this 90-degree angle. John's a lot shorter off. You just watch it a couple of times and you'll see what I mean. So, and also Laurie's doing a reverse lunge and John's doing a forward lunge. But there's a classic of, you can see John right here, not quite getting that deep range that we're looking for. All right, so that's a good example of the various lunges there. Then we take a look at these two guys, and they're performing the basic cable push exercise, and both of them are making the common mistake here where the back foot, if you look carefully how they've got the back foot planted flat on the ground. So, and the reason a lot of people do this is not just limited to older adults, is because they want to improve their stability. So really they needed to have a much bigger step, a bigger stride, and that back foot very much like the lunge that Laurie was demonstrating. So they should be both like that. So a bit more of a much more athletic stance, and then the back foot on the toes, because that back foot provides a great deal of the strength to push through the arm. So if I don't have my toe on the ground, or toes, I can't generate as much power because I've got an energy leak in my leg. All right, so it really limits the strength in the arm from just being in a horrible position with the feet in particular. You can see here is these guys again just doing their lunges. So in a second we'll have a look at some various other movements, and once again you'll see different variations of postures, strength, stability, and control. All right, so let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so here's the second video where we're looking at the lateral lunge, and we can see a really good example here of Laurie executing a very good deep range lateral lunge. John beside him, once again quite upright. So you'll see that it's really obvious to see the difference here where Laurie's really using his hips quite a lot, which gives him the ability to go deep into the range, get a hell of a lot more strength out of the glutes and hamstrings. John really just hanging through his knee. Has a very limited range, so his doesn't look very athletic. Laurie's does. All right, so there could be a few reasons why John's doing that. Maybe his lack of mobility is a big factor in this. Maybe lack of strength in some degree. Maybe just poor coordination. Maybe all of the above. But there's a real difference in the way that the two are moving. In this exercise here, we can see this lady Merrill doing a squat pull. It's not too bad. Needs to learn to get her hips to move better. So she's quite upright in this, but her bum actually sort of starting to tuck under, or pelvis I should say. Really just going to hang off her knees here, and not a great position for the back. So there's a potential for injury for continuing to move like that. But it's not the worst I've ever seen, and it's the common thing that everyone does. So it's not like necessarily Merrill's really screwing it up. It's just something that we observe the difference in the movements. You can see another example of a lateral lunge here with Roger doing exactly what John does, very upright. All right, really just hanging off the knee. To get more out of this and a deeper range, more strength, one would really come back deep, use the hips better. Really unathletic. Again, a number of reasons could be for that, all right, and it's not necessarily going to cause them harm, but they're never going to feel quite as strong in that movement and take that real giant wide step, because they're going to be very limited with how much they can get into it. All right, so we've seen the lunges in the forward, we've seen the lunges laterally, so now let's look at the squats. Okay, so here's the squat in action, and we can see quite a few of these guys in a row, and all of them are doing a different strategy. They're sort of bobbing up and down doing different things, and it's quite interesting to observe when you see quite a few people doing a squat at the same time. So if we go back and just go through these one by one. So firstly, go on the end here, Dick. His squat's not too bad actually. He just probably loses his posture at the bottom here, but his range in his legs is quite good, and he has quite a good sort of an angle through the spine, and he's pretty close to what we want. Just loses the upper body posture, especially as he gets to the bottom. All right, so obviously we wouldn't expect him to be 100%. Wouldn't expect any of him to be 100% perfect, but you know, he's not far away from where he wants to be. The main thing is he's using the hips and the knees together, and not just hanging off one joint at all. All right. So where the next two we'll see them both really. One do all knees. So you can see Meryl here when she goes down, she's all knee, which we saw before on the squat pull. And see how the angle of her spine would be there, and the angle of her shins is there. So she's going to get really stuck for range because she's going to run out of room at the knee here, at the ankle here, and the knee's going to really cop it because she's just hanging off the quads. Can't get any of the glutes involved. All right, so she's like gone pretty much all knee for the movement, and the next lady's done the exact opposite. She's gone all hip. So she's really kept her shin almost dead straight and stuck the hip back and not getting enough out of the knee at all. So Dick's probably close to being the most efficient form, and the other two are, one's using the knee too much, one's using the hip too much. Somewhere in between the two of them is where they need to be. And again, there could be a number of reasons for that. There could be joint restriction, it could be weakness, it could be poor coordination, and it could be all of those things all stacked together. But you can really see the difference in the squats, and the one that Dick was using is the most efficient version. That's the one that you want to be aiming towards for everyone, not just an older adult, younger people, sporting athletes, everyone. All right, so the more efficient it gets, the better you can. And you see here how we see that pelvis tucking under again. So you know, and it's a horrible position for the hip and then the lower back there. So really needs to get that hip to stick out a bit, not be afraid to let the trunk come over. Sometimes people think that they're doing the right thing by keeping their back straight, and when they're not. And she really needs to be over there. So head probably coming forward a bit more and getting way more out of the hip. All right, and she'll be able to get that deeper range that she's not able to achieve right there. All right, so that's a bit of a look at some different movements with the older adults, and you know. We could make all their exercises safe by lying them on the floor, you know, probably build a bit of strength even as well. We could build even more strength sitting on a machine, but it would not come with the function. It wouldn't come with improving these skills that we would always going to see mistakes. It's inevitable to see mistakes. The thing is, you just got to try to learn from them and make the adjustments where required. If there's mobility in the way, then try and work on it. If it's an underlying weakness somewhere else, you might need to regress the movement, work on it, and come back to it. But at the end of the day, you've got to really always have the ambition in mind of improving the overall function and movement skill, because that's where you're going to move efficiently to handle things in daily life. And this is a good example of seeing the different movement strategies of people of round about the same age. Some are better than others, and it's not the youngest ones who are the best ones. You know, it doesn't favour age, it just favours moving well. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed that video and seeing some of the older adults in action, and maybe we'll give you some more videos when they've made some changes and you can see how they've gone. All right, I'll see you on our next video.